kick is blocked. Appalachian State has stunned the college football world. One of the greatest upsets in sports history.
17 seconds, high formation now. Here's the snap. Winston rolling right. Throws the pass on the end. It's caught! It's caught! It's caught! Touchdown FSU! Calvin Benjamin. Knowles retake the lead with 13 seconds remaining.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins!
And welcome into another edition of the Ladder Live. I am Mike Settle. That over there is Dustin Franklin. As you can see, we are repping this 3-0 morning. Dustin, how you feeling, buddy?
Relieved. My stomach still has knots in it. I'm still tired. Yeah, but I'm happy.
Yeah, man. What a game. And we'll review that in a second. First of all, I just want to get business out of the way. This live show is brought to you by the Roll Up Network, which you can go and check out all their podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Especially shout out to our friends at Double Fries No Slaw. Dustin, Week 2 was insanity as far as college football goes. Very, very 2007-esque, if you will. And this week, there's a few opportunities, not as many, but there's a few opportunities for the situation to be very similar. Or we hope so, at least. I don't know about you, but when my team's not involved, I pull for interest and I pull for chaos. And just looking at this Week 3 slate we're about to go over, there's some potential there.
Yeah. I mean, it's always the weeks that the slate looks a little bare that usually provides the most thrilling action. So I'm hopeful. Last night we got a couple of good games last night. Well, one was ugly but close, and then the other was, well, it was ugly too, but Knowles won. So
don't remind me of my Falcons. I don't even want to talk about that game right now, buddy.
I told you that Wyoming was going to keep it close. I liked Air Force to win. I was wrong about that, sure, but I liked Wyoming to keep it close. Buddy, they pulled it out. Zeke Daniels
I don't understand. I don't understand what happened there. I don't want to spend too much time on Air Force Wyoming. We'll save it. We will save that for the podcast show later in the week because, man, that hurt my heart because they could have been the G5 representative. Not a chance now. Can't lose to Wyoming. Dustin, let's start with the game that actually took place on Friday night. Again, no more talk about Air Force. Hurts my heart. Let's talk about the Noles, man. Noles went on the road to Louisville. They were 2.5-point favorite at the time that I got it. Covered that, found a way somehow. Look, this game had more injuries than any game I don't know that I've ever really seen from both sides. Louisville, I don't know what's going on up there, but fix your turf, man. There's no excuse for having that many injuries. Florida State goes and gets it done without Jordan Travis, without Jared Verse, without Fabian Lovett. They find a way to win. And just as a little schadenfreude as a Florida State fan, it didn't hurt that Jarvis Brownlee didn't look very good.
Yeah, he had a very Chris Davis-like game against the Noles. If you remember Chris Davis in the 2013 National Championship, he was in a lot of highlights for FSU. That's the kind of game Jarvis Brownlee had, unfortunately for him, last night. And, yeah, you mentioned it without Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis looked so good early on.
He did.
And then just unfortunate injury. Thoughts and prayers to him for a speedy recovery. But Tate Rodemaker, man, I swear, he went into halftime. He read our tweets. He read my tweets specifically, and he came out with a chip on his shoulder.
Man, I keep posting that picture of a crow on dinner plate because it's true. I'm eating a lot of it. And by the way, we were all justified in thinking that Tate would go out there and stink it up because all we've seen so far from Tate is going out there and stinking it up. So it's not like
he stunk it out in this one early on. Like last night, he looked bad early on.
To me, he doesn't handle being thrown in to the fire very well. I feel like when they came out in the second half, had a great game plan for him. Just got him some easy throws on slants to Johnny Wilson, who we'll talk about in a second. Breakout game for him. But they were able to move the ball on the ground the opening drive of the third quarter. Went and scored, ate a lot of clock. That drive really tells the story of the game for me. Now, Florida State tried to give it back, and Malik Cunningham had a few plays, but I'm going to give the defense a little bit of credit here. They didn't play great the whole game, but they stepped up and made plays when they had to, specifically guys like Tatum Bethune and Renardo Green, I think, were surefire tacklers in this game. Had Malik Cunningham spooked in the fourth quarter. Man, what a performance by some individual players on these defense making plays when they had to.
Yeah, because I don't think the defense as a unit played particularly well. I mean, they gave up 495 yards, that 252 on the ground, 243 through the air. That's too many yards to give up. Kalen DeLoach, I've been very high on him. I think he's an
great.
NFL linebacker,
Me too.
but he's not. He doesn't have the speed to be a spy for someone like Malik Cunningham. He was a step behind there. But yeah, I mean, you said that the defense made plays when they had to. We got forced 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles recovered, and a big interception by Kevin Knowles to seal it. So yeah, go Knowles on the Knowles. But yeah, defense played stepped up when they had to, and that's the difference.
Yeah, Kevin Knowles read some of our tweets too, I believe.
Yeah.
He said, okay, I'm going to go win this game. Look, you talked about Kalen DeLoach. That leads me to make one small comment. The broadcast team was brutal last night, man. They kept talking about how fast Kalen DeLoach was and how he was covering Malik Cunningham well. Maybe 1 play, 2 plays here and there. He didn't do it well the whole night. I think that was pretty obvious to anyone with eyes. But he made a lot of plays, especially later on in the game, hurries, pressure, stuff like that. I think helped the team win. We would be remiss to not mention Kelvin Benjamin Jr., or maybe even better by the end of his playing career, Johnny Wilson with a breakout game at the expense of former Noel Jarvis Brown.
He's him. He is him. He got that every week. I pick a player who's got that dog in him. This week is Johnny Wilson and Trayshawn Ward, who has had that dog in him too. Yep. So those 2 were the keys to the game. You got to feed Trayshawn. All 3 backs played well, but to me, Trayshawn is just a step above the other 2. You got to give him more. What? Only 10 carries? He ripped off, what was it, 12, almost 13 yards a carry, and you only get him the ball 10 times? That's not enough. No. Especially on some, like, I don't know. You got too cute sometimes.
Some of the decision-making by Mike Norvell and staff later in the game kind of flustered me. The trick plays down at the goal line was really annoying. No excuse for that. Now, they found a way to score anyway, but they got cute, which you've been running the ball at will the entire second half minus a play or 2. Go in there, give it to your best running back, let him score. It's not that difficult. Then the decision to settle for a field goal when your kicker basically cannot make a kick to save his life. Bad decision. Again, it's a lot easier to digest this game when you walk away with a win. If you're a Florida State fan, if they had come away with a loss, there's a lot of bad to chew on. But they have a get-right game next week, Dustin. Night game at home. Boston College should be a win. Even if you don't have Jordan Travis, I think Tate Rodemaker will do just fine against that Boston College defense, which hasn't been very good like we thought they would be. And the offensive line that they bring to the table is worse than Florida State a couple years ago. So Florida State should be 4-0, have time to get everybody healthy when you have a ranked weight team coming into town. And guess what, buddy? Florida State, for the first time since 2017, probably going to be a ranked football team.
Yeah, and going to need that because it's a pretty brutal stretch coming up for the Seminoles. You got 3 ranked opponents in a row there.
Well, if they get healthy, I feel okay. If they're a little limited, then I think we're going to have some trouble. But man, this team shows heart. They show effort. They show grit. And I know those are all cliche terms, but we haven't had any of those terms the last 4 or 5 years from this program. So I think this team plays together. They love each other. They love on each other. They don't let anything get too high or too low. And I think that's what you're looking for if you're a Florida State fan. As far as Louisville goes, Scott Satterfield, you're coaching for your job for the rest of the season. I think you may have lost it last night.
Especially when you're the head football coach, you should know the other team's roster. And in the post-game press conference, they asked him what made Johnny Wilson so difficult to guard. And he said, "Is that the big one?" No, that's a bad look.
Did we not watch film all week? I mean, it's not like he hadn't made any play. It's not like Johnny Wilson hadn't made any plays all year. And I know you're not looking at the Duquesne game, but he made plays in that game early on. He made a catch or 2 against LSU. So, I mean, it's not like Johnny Wilson was invisible, but he's healthy. I am a little concerned that none of these other teams are going to throw out the cover 0 look that Louisville kept running out because they didn't respect Tate Rodemaker at all. Shame on them because he proved them wrong and made me eat my crow medium. Not medium well, that's ridiculous. Give me that crow medium, baby, with a side of fries. Dustin, anything else on Florida State Louisville? Great win, hard one to get, but you go into a get-right game here where you maybe can rest some guys, get them back healthy.
Yeah, no, I think we did. We summed it up pretty nicely. It's a gritty win on the road, and just got to keep going forward, keep climbing.
All right. Oh man, the great Miley Cyrus / Mike Norvell. It's one of those office quotes, if you know what I mean. If you know, you know. Okay, Dustin, we've done enough reviewing. Let's get to the preview stuff, baby. This is where people try to make money off listening to Dustin. We'll see. I don't know. Don't take my gambling advice because I just pick with my heart a lot of the time, which is it's worked out for me sometimes. I'm excited for some sneaky good games on this slate. This is kind of a prove it weekend to me. Like if I have to take anything away from this slate, there's like just a couple teams we're not 100% sure about that I think we'll get a better idea of what they look like after this week. Let's go to the noon time period. Dustin, are you ready?
Let's get it.
All right, we're going with the quick hitters. Let's go. Oklahoma, Nebraska. This game takes place in Lincoln on Fox. Noon kickoff. Big noon Saturday is there. Scott Frost out the door. He's no longer the head coach. Mickey Joseph pretty much has a 9-game audition. Show a spark. Will the defense play better? I don't know if they can play better. I'm a little concerned about Nebraska's defense just off of what we've seen. However, we've seen the whims of emotion for college athletes kind of waver here and there the entire time that we've been watching the sport, Dustin. New coach, play with a spark. You're at home against a long-lost rival. You played them close last year on the road. Any chance Nebraska sneaky pulls an upset here?
In a word, no. So OU is minus 11 favorites in this one. I don't think 11 points is enough. This Nebraska team, they're a train wreck without an engineer. Now, I like Mickey Joseph. I'm happy for him. I wish him the best. And based on who you want to believe, if you want to believe the Nebraska message boards, one person posted on there, his aunt is a janitor at the stadium there, and Urban Meyer, who's in town for the big noon kickoff, he's been meeting with the team. So
you know what I say?
Yeah, he was on your big board. This might be an audition for this Nebraska team with Urban Meyer there, but no, I don't see it happening. I like OU big in this one.
I want to make it clear. I only have Urban Meyer on my big board because you have to at least try. I mean,
absolutely.
And what I mean by that is he may be a piece of crap human being because he is a piece of crap human being, but he's a proven winner and a pretty damn good college football coach. You've got to at least take a shot, see if he's interested, see if you're interested. However, Dustin, I don't think this Urban Meyer is as motivated to win as he was those 40 years in the earlier Ohio State years. I think he'd be pretty checked out. So I don't know if I would take a swing there. I think there's plenty of good candidates out there on the board that can turn Nebraska around. I agree with you. I don't agree with the Oklahoma big part because we saw this offense kind of sputter in the first half against Kent State last week. I'm a little worried about them getting off to a slow start, maybe pulling away late. Nebraska will play inspired football. There's no doubt about that. I think they're going to look the best they've looked all season. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think Dylan Gabriel will hit enough wide open guys, and Oklahoma will pull away late in that game. I like Oklahoma to win. 11.5 is a big number for me. I like Oklahoma by 10.
I like them by about 17. This team, I get what you're saying. They are going to be inspired, but they gave up 45 points to Georgia Southern. I know. 31 points to a bad Northwestern team, so I just don't believe.
Buddy, App State gave up 60-plus points to North Carolina, gave up 7 to Texas A&M. I mean, this is just sometimes college – future NFL first-round pick, Drake May, as I always have to preface for everyone that pays attention. Rank North Carolina, you cowards, 3-0, got a win against App. Come on, man. All right, anyway, quick hitters. They're supposed to be quick, but I felt like that was a game worth talking a little bit about. Purdue, Syracuse. This is a show-me game. This is a prove-it game. Syracuse, are you good or are you not good? I don't know. Purdue, the same thing. If you can come out and put the brakes on that high-flying Syracuse offense we've seen the last few weeks, which, wow, out of nowhere, Robert and I, the offensive coordinator, making some things happen there, coming over from Virginia. This game's at the Dome. Give me the orange. I like Syracuse. And my Purdue narrative. But there's just but I think Dino's got a little something cooking there.
No, I agree. Purdue's 1-point favorites here, so essentially a pick 'em game. But listen, Sean Tucker is going to be pleased with himself in this game. Him and Schrader, they're going to be the difference at home. So give me Syracuse by a field goal.
Schrader is a little bit Jordan Travis-esque, and then all of a sudden this year he's found his throws. He's not just a mobile guy anymore. He can throw the ball down the field.
Completing 78% of his passes.
Yeah. They've found something that works there, and I just love that offense. It's so much fun to watch. Should be a fun game today against Purdue. I like the orange. Cincinnati, Miami of Ohio, an old-time rivalry game. This game's being played again. These two coaches don't like each other. Miami of Ohio will play up. I have a really good feeling about that. I like Chuck Martin. I like their coach. I just think Cincinnati is too good. You give me Cincinnati big at the end.
Yeah, I mean, 22-point favorites. That's just a lot of points. Now, this Cincinnati team is talented enough to cover that. I think they will cover it, but I think it'll be close. I don't think you'll ever feel comfortable about them covering it until the clock says zeros. I think it'll be on Ben Bryant to make enough plays to get it done. So give me Cincinnati big.
Now, there's a part of me that wants to take Miami of Ohio backdoor cover. Just a little sneaky late field goal, late touchdown, something. I'm not sure. But I'm going to take Cincinnati in the points. Okay, 2:30, Cal versus Notre Dame. Does Notre Dame get off the snide here? This is on NBC, by the way, as most Notre Dame home games are. This Cal offense is putrid. They're just absolutely ridiculous to watch. I'd rather watch them than Iowa, but it's getting pretty close. Give me Notre Dame to get off the snide. I like Notre Dame to win this game at home.
Yeah, they're 11-point favorites, and this is just what the doctor ordered for Marcus Freeman.
Yes.
I like the Irish to win and cover. I think they get the offense going. I'll say somewhere around 34-17 for the first win of Marcus Freeman's tenure.
3 o'clock on ESPN Plus, Tulane, Kansas State. I think you put this game on here because of the helmet matchup. I'm not sure how much interest you're going to have in this game, but I like Kansas State big after the big win against Missouri last week. I don't think that Willie First offense is trying to do some new stuff, and they haven't quite found their groove yet. But turn this game on for 8 minutes just to see the two helmets on the field together. Kansas State rocking a throwback and Tulane rocking the green wave, which I just think is a great logo.
Oh, it definitely is. Hey, I put this on here because this is 2-2-0 teams entering, baby. This is a big-time matchup. But no, it's only going to be the Wildcats walking out unblemished here. Deuce Vaughn, he's a top-tier running back, and he's going to be the difference. Kansas State's 13.5-point favorites. I do like this Tulane team, but they'll come up short. I like it around 31-17, Kansas State. So a close cover.
Kansas State and Oklahoma's coming up. Just saying. Just saying. Okay, here we go. Liberty, Wake Forest, ACC Network, 5 o'clock. A couple weeks ago, if you had asked me to pick this game, I would have said it would have been a close one. Liberty looks like they may be down to their backup quarterback. Give me Wake and Wake big.
Yeah, it's 16.5-point Wake favorites. Now, this is another matchup of unbeatens, but unlucky for Hugh Freeze. Sam Hartman's back, and you said it. He's his quarterback. The Wake defense or offense is just so lethal with him and A.T. Perry. So give me the Deacons by about 20.
This next game should have been on the in-depth ones. What's wrong with you, man? The Red Raiders undefeated going on the road to take on the NC State Wolfpack. This game is 7 o'clock, ESPN2. My narratives will continue. I'm taking Texas Tech on the road in the upset. I hate that NC State offense. They're annoying to watch. There's so much talent, and the scheme they run is ridiculous. They're running a scheme out of 1948. Man, you have Devin O'Leary throw the football around, spread them out, do some fun, creative things, and they just don't, Dustin. I know they got off the side last week against Charleston Southern, and I know you're thinking Texas Tech's defense is just what the doctor ordered. You're going to give me all the things that I know exactly what you're going to say. I'm going to disagree. This Texas Tech team, which you admitted on the show this week, you're pulling for because they're fun to watch. And I think this is a situation where the backup may be better than the starter. Not sure. Give me the Red Raiders. Joey McGuire, 3-0, baby.
Yeah, 3-1. So NC State's 10-point favorites in this one. I've been wrong about this Texas Tech team so far, but I don't think I will be today. Dave Doran, Devin Leary, they're going to pull it out at home. The offense is going to be cooking a little bit more, especially against that Red Raider defense, which is a little suspect. I do like the Red Raiders to cover, but I've got the Wolfpack by about a touchdown at home.
7:30 on FS1, SMU, Maryland. Fun game, sneaky fun game between two really fun offenses, two of the highest-powered offenses in the country right now. Buddy, I had a hard time picking this game. Part of me wants to just take Maryland because Big Ten. I mean, but I just love what Rhett Lashley has done there so far. Yeah. He's picked up the baton and he's ran with it. The first-year head coach after Sonny Dykes leaves. I just think maybe the Maryland defense, which we haven't seen been tested quite yet, could be a little better than SMU's defense. But I don't know, man. The way they shut down North Texas a couple weeks ago made me think, okay, got some people there. You know what? Give me the Stangs. You know I'm an SMU homer. Come on, baby.
I mean, I normally am too. We both are. But Maryland's 3.5-point favorites. It is at home for them. This could be one of the funnest games of the whole day.
A lot of
So
points.
7:30. There's not a whole lot going on at 7:30. I mean, there's a big one that we're going to get to, but this could be your flip back game. I definitely recommend that. It's going to be a lot of offense, I think. My Talia Tagovailoa agenda is going to prosper today. Give me Mike Loxley team by a touchdown.
I like that Maryland team, or I like that Maryland offense, which is what makes next week's game against Michigan so interesting. If they can get this win and get out alive, they have a big game to prove themselves next week against a really good defense.
Who would have thought that the better Tagovailoa brother would be playing in Maryland, though, instead of Alabama?
Come on, brother.
Talia is him.
Nah, I don't think so. Although I do think he's in a better offensive situation than he was at Alabama. So, yeah, whatever. I'm still going to take SMU just for fun, just to be different, because I really love that offense. I love the way they move the ball. Brett Lashley, Miami's missing this play calling a little bit. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit later here. UCF versus FAU, CBS Sports Network, 7:30. There's just a small part of me that wants to pull for Willie Taggart and the Owls. I don't see it, though. I think UCF's too talented. I think Gus Malzahn gets back to doing what they do well, which is running the football and throwing off a play action instead of trying to have John Bryce Plumlee in drop-back situations. Give me the Knights.
Yeah. If UCF's 8-point favorites, listen, the worst possible scenario for Willie Taggart and the Owls was UCF losing last week and having an extra day to rest, recover, and watch film. Because they played on Friday last week. So FAU, they're going to try to load the box against the run. So it's going to be up to John Rice Plumlee to beat the Owls with his arm, which he's not looked great trying to do so far this year. So that's good news for FAU. And N'Kosi Perry has been really good this year, but I just can't believe that he'll be good enough to overcome the talent difference between the two teams. So give me UCF by 10.
8 o'clock on the Longhorn Network, a week after taking Alabama down to the wire. Texas will host a feisty UTSA team. I hate that this UTSA team has just been in two crazy games that they ended up on the wrong side of. Because, buddy, this could be a really fun game, but it gets the Longhorn Network treatment. I understand why. So this is a game a lot of you won't be able to see. Really quick, I just want to repeat myself from the show this week. If you are Texas – and you're quote-unquote back, as you say, you've got to go out, take care of business, put this game away early, because this is a talented UTSA team with a really fun quarterback in Frank Harris, that this is their Super Bowl. This is the game they've had circled all offseason. Probably the Houston one too, but this one in particular. This game is a season maker for the Roadrunners. This is just another game along the schedule for the Longhorns. I think UTSA will have some fight. They'll keep it close early, but I think Worthy and those boys go off. Texas pulls away late, but got to show and prove that you can do this twice in a row, because we've seen it before, Dustin, where Oklahoma or Texas gets up for the Oklahoma game and the next week kind of poops down their leg against teams like Kansas or Kansas State. So go out, take care of business. I think this Texas team is different, but I need to see it first.
Yeah, I mean, Texas is back, first of all. You said you if they are. I've been saying they are. Now, they are still without Quinn Ewers. That's fine. They're 11.5-point favorites here. After a 1-point loss to my pick for the national champions. So, yes. They just better hope they don't have a hangover from the Bama game, because Frank Harris can make them pay for that. But I think the difference in this game, Texas is going to, they're going to ride Bijan Robinson. He's going to have a monster game. He didn't go off last week. Alabama kept him in check, so I think he's going to come out with a chip on the shoulder. Sark's going to dial it up for him. So give me Texas to cover the 11.5.
Sneaky, interesting game right here. 10:30 on regular Fox. This game got a little less interesting last week thanks to my Oregon State Beavers beating Fresno State, something that you just refuse to accept as a result, apparently, because you're just a Jeff Tedford homer. It's fine. It's fine.
No, it's a good win.
Fresno State, USC. Any chance Fresno State keeps this interesting? I think only because that USC defense has a lot of question marks. I think they're going to give up a lot of points to this Fresno State offense, but I just like USC's offense way too much to predict them to lose against anybody not named Utah, Oregon. Sneaky game against the Beavers next week, though. But for now, I think USC comes out, takes care of business against Fresno State. But I think it's a high-scoring game, especially early on.
Yeah, USC's 12.5-point favorites here. I love Jeff Tedford, and I love this Fresno team, but this Trojan offense, they're just a juggernaut. Addison, Caleb Williams, that they look like they've been playing together their whole lives. They have so much chemistry already. So give me USC by 3 scores.
You didn't have this on the rundown, but quick thing. Anything interesting on Georgia, South Carolina at all? Anything pique your interest there?
No. I mean, Stetson Bennett's going to go off. Shane Beamer is going to have to Cat 5 maintain and just get through to the next week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be ugly. South Carolina has not scored more than 21 points in a game against Kirby Smart as long as he's been the head coach of Georgia. I like that trend to continue today. Give me the Dogs big. Buddy, Houston, Kansas, 4 o'clock. Who would have thought this game would even matter? Yeah. If Kansas finds a way to win this game, they will play Duke next week, who, if they win, we're talking about an undefeated battle between Duke and Kansas. And rumor has it, if that happens, College Game Day will go on the road to that game, which is so fun. I'm pulling for this so hard. My Houston narrative is dead anyway. Give me the Jayhawks, baby. Lance Leopold. Let's go.
Oh, man. Yeah, you talk about a potential unbeaten matchup between Kansas and Duke, and it's September. We're not talking basketball, pal. That's incredible.
This is not the Big Four little kickoff thing they do the first week of the playoffs for football. No. This is not the Maui Invitational. This is football.
Yeah. So Houston's 9-point favorites. Look, will this game go to overtime? Will Houston's overtime streak continue?
I would love it. I think it'd be awesome.
Kansas has looked good this year so far, and Houston has looked shaky or not as good as some would have believed going into the season. But I think Houston's going to be too much. I do love Kansas, what Lance Leipold's doing so far, and I would love Kansas and Duke to both be undefeated going into that matchup, but I just don't see it. I think Houston's going to come out with a chip on the shoulder. Give me the Cougars by 2 scores.
Part of me is picking Kansas because I just haven't seen Houston's offense get the ball to its playmakers like we thought. Last week they had to come back to even get that game to overtime, dude. Their offense has just been shaky, and there's a part of me that thinks maybe the Kansas defense is better than Texas Tech's. Maybe. Interesting game, fun game that you didn't have on the rundown, but I caught at the last minute. I was like, oh, yeah, we got to talk a little bit about that. Speaking of, last quick hitter here, Dustin. North Dakota State is favored against Arizona. Why are you scheduling North Dakota State? Why are you doing this? I tell you what, though, Dustin. Bear down. Give me the Wildcats. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, they are favored, but it's just slightly. It's a pick 'em. It's a 1-point game. Jaden DeLara is going to be the difference in this one. I wouldn't be shocked with the Bison win. That's a very good program. That's a very good program. Perennial powerhouses at their level. But I like the Wildcats to win at home in a upset.
I agree. And I think they bounced back from that Mississippi State game last week because they played tough. They're just clearly not talented enough to beat that Mississippi State team that we're about to talk about here in a second. All right, let's go a little bit in depth here. 3:30 on Fox, one of the bigger games of the day. BYU, Oregon. BYU is coming off a big win last week against Baylor, double overtime without 2 of their best players. They get some of them back this week. A lot of people are in on Oregon. The money is starting to come in on the Ducks, I guess, just because of the name value and the brand. And you kind of have to take anybody that plays Georgia. You got to take that game and kind of set it aside and not look at that game, kind of throw it away. But I'm not going to do that because some of the stuff I saw against Georgia was not it wasn't opponent-based. It was Oregon-based. There's just some things that I don't like about what they do, in particular on offense and the play calling. This is a good BYU team, man. We talked about it on this week's show. Jaron Hall, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the country. Their defense, while not great, plays really physical. I'm going with the Cougs on the road at Autzen to continue their unbeaten streak. And look, man, this is a team, and I talked about it on this week's show. Get this win, get that Arkansas win. We're looking at a potential playoff bid here if BYU continues to roll. I think they do today. I don't think that Oregon defense I think it's talented. I think it needs time to gel together. And I just think the experience of BYU of playing together, being a team that knows how to win football games, helps them on the road in a hostile environment. but that's a 12:30 local kick. I'd like the Cougs, man. Give me the Cougars.
Okay. Yeah, Oregon's 3.5-point favorites at home here. Now, this BYU team, they're a very disciplined team. You said it. They look like, you could tell they've been playing together for a long time. But and they've only turned the ball over once, and they've got limited penalties on the season. Great offensive line, great defensive line. Jaren Hall is a fun quarterback to watch, but he's still, dealing with a lot of injuries in his receiving core. On defense, the Cougars aren't generating enough turnovers, and that could hurt them. Now, with Bo Nix, you never know what you're going to get. He may hand you a couple turnovers, but he didn't last week. He didn't turn it over. He threw 5 touchdowns, 84.8% completion percentage. Now, I know the level of competition. It was Eastern Washington, but still, that's an impressive performance to put up against the practice squad. So that's nice. They'll need to take the ball away from Bo Nix in this Oregon offense. I think Oregon's defense has struggled this season, but I do think they make enough stops in this one. I think BYU is going to lead early on, but Oregon's going to storm back and win by a field goal. I don't like them to cover the 3.5 points. If it was 2.5, I'd say sure. I think they win by field goal, but I think it's going to be a very close game and a very gritty performance by BYU.
Is it really simplified for me to just say one team has Bo Nix and the other doesn't? I mean, is that illogical to feel that way?
No, I'm with you. I completely agree.
I mean, there's never been a time where I've looked at a team that was quarterbacked by Bo Nix and thought, oh, that's the better football team. Never. Since he's all the way from Auburn, now at Oregon, I don't think that's changed at all.
That's how I feel week in, week out. I know we're about to get into this game, but that's how I feel about Sean Clifford a lot of times.
Buddy. You know what? That's a great transition. 3:30 CBS, first SEC on CBS game of the year right here. They normally wait till about week 3 to get the ball rolling. Penn State goes on the road to the Plains to take on the Auburn Tigers. Rumor has it maybe a little more orange for Auburn this week. We'll see. That's a rumor. Don't know. They haven't released anything up to this point. Do it. Because all your other sports have orange uniforms. What's the big deal? Anyway, Dustin, this is a game that I find very interesting. These two programs are almost identical. They both have great skill players all over the field. They both have really good defenses as far as player-wise, recruiting ranking-wise. There's a lot of talent on the defense. There's still guys, dudes all over the field. Both have quarterback questions, and both fan bases have wanted their coach fired in the last 24 months. One got a big fat extension, and the other one's probably on the way out, depending on how the season plays out. I don't like Sean Clifford either, but I have a hard time picking Auburn in this game just because last week they struggled to put away San Jose State. I don't love that. I hate what Auburn does on offense. I find them extremely boring, extremely pedantic, if you want to use one of my vocabulary words of the week there. Dustin, I had a hard time picking this game, but on the road in one of the tougher environments in the nation, part of me just doesn't trust Penn State winning. And I know they go to Ohio State, and I know they go to Michigan, and they go to Iowa. Buddy, this is different. This will be different than anything those guys have ever played in before. I kind of like Auburn in the upset.
Hey, I feel you. So it's actually not an upset. The line I got was Auburn -3. So
really?
Yeah. And
come on, man.
And Vegas, I don't know how.
Hey, Vegas knows something we don't. There has to be. That's one of those Vegas knows something we don't know.
Yeah, I said in my notes, I was like, I honestly don't know how Auburn's favored other than the fact that it is in Jordan-Hare. That has to be it. Now, in our preseason preview shows, when we're talking about season outlooks for conferences and everything, I picked Auburn to win this game when we were doing the Big Ten preview.
You did.
We were previewing Penn State. I said that they would struggle on the road and they would lose. So I've got to stick with it, despite how they've looked so far this season. Now, last year, Auburn held Penn State to just 2.7 yards per carry on the ground, just 90 yards overall. And their run defense is stout again this year. So it's going to really come down to Sean Clifford winning this game through the air. And as up and down as he's been in his career, he's looked good this season, but I think he's due. He's due. He's due for a bad game, a dud. I think Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter are going to get the game going on the ground for Auburn. I don't think this is going to be a pretty game to watch. I think it's going to be a pretty low-scoring affair. I'll take Auburn in a 20-17, 17-14, something like that victory.
My only concern is Penn State's ability to hit a big play. Like we saw against Purdue, they had a couple of those. I know Purdue's defense is not Auburn's defense, but just in general, I don't know where Auburn's big plays are coming from. I guess is my point. They're going to have to find a way to maybe put some points up on defense. I think they're going to have to be able to run the ball like you mentioned. I'm picking Auburn just off the simple fact that they're hosting this game. This is the reason I picked Penn State last year. It's just I didn't think Auburn would go into that environment, 100,000 people wide out, and be able to win that game. I like Auburn at home here. Now, this is only because I'm pulling for chaos. Because, quite frankly, Penn State should win this game. Just being honest. On the talent, season expectation-wise, this is a game Penn State should go in and win if they're one of those teams that want to compete for the Big Ten championship. I just don't see it. I think this is a situation where the backup's better than the starter, but you hate to take Sean Clifford out because he's done so much for your program. But, okay, I like Auburn at home. Wear the orange jerseys. Do it. Don't be cowards. Do it. Damn it, man. Hey, this next game is one of my favorite games of the weekend, buddy. This is a who are you game right here. Yeah. Mississippi State, LSU, 6 o'clock, ESPN, the Pirate versus my family. First SEC game for Brian Kelly as the head coach at LSU. This is a sneaky, good Mississippi State team coming in here, man. I mean, they're really talented on defense, a lot of NFL players. This is year 3 in that offense for Will Rogers. He's slinging that thing around. I love their receivers. I think they're very talented. Offensive line and the run game, which they don't really have to run, I guess, so whatever. We saw those LSU corners against Florida State's wide receiving core. They didn't look that good, Dustin. And this is a much better, high-powered passing offense. And I know you have your Jaden Daniels narrative, but I think this is a Mississippi State defense that can make him struggle. It's not so much him. It's offensive line play. It's receivers letting him down outside of Keyshawn Butte or Booty, whatever, however you say his name. I like the Pirate and the Bulldogs to get this win. I think Mississippi State is the better football team.
That's fair. Mississippi State's 2.5-point favorite, so clearly Vegas agrees with you. The Mike Leach has got this offense rolling. Will Rogers has, this season he's looked like the best quarterback that Leach has had since Gardner Minshew. The Bulldogs have played a solid schedule to start, so they're tested. LSU, on the other hand, they've had one tough game against that they had to grind out and ultimately came up short against FSU, and then they had that gimme against Southern. Jaden Daniels, I know how you feel, but he's completing 78% of his passes so far, 5 touchdowns, not turning the ball over, 0 interceptions, and he's running the ball well. Now, you mentioned we both did. Will Rogers, great. Here's some good news for LSU. That secondary is getting healthier. Seven Banks is going to be back. He's going to play in his first game of the season at cornerback.
Yeah, that's fair.
Colby Richardson's also back. He went down against Southern, but he's going to be back in the rotation. Also on the D-line, B.J. Ojolari, who sat out against Southern, he's going to be back on the D-line, so their defense is getting healthier. I think Daniels is going to be the difference here. I think he's going to make enough plays happen with his legs and make you eat some more crow.
This sounds like a narrative. This sounds like a narrative.
This is the best defense that Mississippi State's faced so far, and I think Daniels does enough to pull out the upset at home. Give me the Tigers in a close one.
This sounds like a narrative game that you want to happen more than what you think. That's the way I feel. No. The way you spoke about this game makes me think this is what you want to happen, not what you think could happen.
No. Go pull my tweets. I love Mike Leach. I wanted Mike Leach at
I know
Florida
you
State
do.
in 2017. I wanted him again in 2020. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm all for the sound bites in the offense, baby.
Right guys in charge. 3-0, baby. All right. 7:30 ABC. Maybe the most beautiful or potentially beautiful uniform matchup of the year, with Washington and Michigan State on the field at the same time. Again, 7:30 ABC. Buddy, this line was interesting to me. I really expected Michigan State to be a bigger favorite. Does Vegas know something? Because look, I like Kalen DeBoer. We both like Kalen DeBoer. We both like Michael Penix Jr. The Michigan State team looked a little shaky for a while there against Western Michigan in the opener. So I guess maybe that's why this Washington team looks like they haven't. I mean, they look significantly better already through 2 games than they did last year, because I don't think last year's team was a talent thing. I think it was a quitting on your coach thing. That offense seems to be humming. It's the healthy Michael Penix. Man, I love Mel Tucker, and I love this Michigan State team. Man, hard to pick. But right here in my notes, I have home environment, tough place, weird setting. Give me Washington. We talked about Washington in the preseason as being kind of one of our look out, talents better than what the record shows. I think it shows here today. Give me Washington. Give me the Huskies.
Yeah, Washington's 3.5-point favorites here. Now, you mentioned the uniforms. What if we go color on color here and Michigan State comes out with those neon green alternates from 2019?
No.
God, those suck.
Stop. Don't do that.
Those were so bad.
Wear the white. Wear the beautiful green helmet you have. Come on.
Yeah. But Michigan State's pass defense looked much improved from last season. But, they haven't exactly played a schedule full of playoff contenders so far. It was Western Michigan and Akron. So can we really tell? Jalen Berger and Jarek Broussard, they're a very formidable duo on the ground for Sparty. So it'll be on the Husky defense to contain them if Washington wants to win. Washington does match up well, though. They have a very good passing attack led by Michael Penix, like you said. Their run defense is stout. And, on offense for Sparty, Peyton Thorne, he's not looked good. 57% completions on the season, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions against those opponents who I just mentioned. I think Penix is going to be stellar today, and I've got the Huskies winning by a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly kind of look at this and think Washington just may be better. And again, when I hate doing this because I don't think transitive property really works in college football specifically. But look at the way Washington played Kent State. Look at the way Oklahoma played Kent State. You kind of have to look at them and go, all right, man, there's some things cooking there. So I like the Huskies. However, it would not shock me one bit if Michigan State won this game. It wouldn't shock me. I still think that Washington's a better football team. Give me the Huskies. Dustin, before we go to the big one, we should probably cover this really quick, although we didn't have it in the rundown. Any chance USF keeps it close at the Swamp, or is this a rout? Does Anthony Richardson finally get a damn touchdown pass or what?
I do you one better. I think he gets 3.
Okay, that's fair.
I think he gets 3. Because he's aware. He's aware of what they're saying online. He's aware. Napier's aware too. He's going to put him in better position. So we might see some. I think you get inside the 10, you draw up a little bootleg pass. I think Richardson's going to make some touchdowns happen. But yeah, I don't see USF staying in this one past 10 minutes in the first quarter.
I know that my gear makes it look like I'm unbiased, but I'm just asking a question. Could this be a letdown, look ahead situation? You lost it. Look, Florida's going to win the game, okay? I'm not saying that. But you lost the game last week to Kentucky. You got a big one on the road in Neyland next week. This game is just kind of sandwiched in here. It's not like USF is some big in-state rivalry. It's just, that's just not the way it works. Is this like a weird letdown look ahead sandwich where you look up in the second quarter and you're like, 14-10, that's kind of straight. Why is this game so close?
Had Florida pulled it out last week, I'd be more inclined to say yes.
That's fair.
But I think that they're going to come out a little pissed off, a little let down, and a little fired up to make some things happen. Now, you mentioned that they have a huge matchup next week in Neyland. So their first road game of the season. So they're going to need to use this as a tune-up. They're going to need to come out and make sure everything's buttoned up, make sure the offense is rolling on all cylinders. You got to feed ETN. You got to get Anthony Richardson in a groove. They're going to do it.
That's the key. Just give the ball to ETN. He's your best back. I think it's clear as day. And just feed him, especially against this USF. We saw what BYU did on the ground to this USF defense. So I think it's a pretty simple thing. I just hope that Florida doesn't try to use this game to work some kinks out and it ends up, kind of closer than it should be. Go out, take care of business first, then experiment with some things. Okay, big game of the week. This is a 9:00 kick, and not 8, 9:00 kick on ESPN because it's a 7 p.m. kick local time.
That's right.
Which ESPN, this stinks. Yeah, because
7 local. They're central.
Oh, so it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock.
Sorry, 8 o'clock local kick. Look, man, my time zones stink. Man, you know how weird the time zones are once you
they don't
get
make
past
sense.
Central. No,
they don't make sense. Tennessee is in 2 different time zones. Florida is in 2 different.
Alabama's got 2 different time zones. Like, hey, man, the mountain. You know what's weird about mountain time? It's like this big. Like when you look on the map, it's like the skinniest, most narrow one. It makes no sense. Okay, enough of all that. Let's talk about the game here. Miami goes on the road to College Station to play Texas A&M. Jimbo's familiar with the Miami Hurricanes, considering his long while spent at Florida State. Only lost one of those games as a head coach. Just thought I'd throw that out there. To kind of stick.
Petty.
Yeah, I can do that. I'm allowed. It's okay. We're 3-0, baby. Look, Texas A&M's coming off a really bad loss, and we're on this week's show. I reamed Jimbo Fisher a new one, deservedly so, because his play calling on the offense they run is so expired and so outdated that there's no reason in today's college game you can't get those talented playmakers the football in open space and go let them make plays. Looks like they're going to try to do something different, considering now Mac Johnson will be the starter at quarterback, not Haynes King. So that's good. No legend Brad Johnson, that's his son, by the way. Mac Johnson was a starting quarterback at LSU, beat Texas A&M last year, by the way, with a nice 28-yard touchdown pass to seal it with about 20 seconds left. Now, on the other side of the ball, you've got Miami, who's looked wholly average, and maybe that's just because quality of opponent. But on offense in particular, they've just looked average when I expected them to have a really high-flying, humming offense this year. But what did I say in the preseason, Dustin? That this Mario Cristobal meddling could potentially get in the way of letting Josh Gaddis do his job. Mm-hmm. But also, Michigan's staff and head coach didn't seem super upset that Josh Gaddis was leaving. Didn't want to pay him what they thought or what he thought he was worth. So there's some interesting things going on with that Miami offense. I know Miami fans hated Rhett Lashley's play calling, and I understand because it was so inconsistent. But that offense was humming last year, man. That was a fun offense to watch. But they're down their best receiver, which, by the way, name I can't pronounce, sorry. What was your best receiver?
Restrepo.
Yeah, he's out. And that's the best playmaker they had. So I'm a little concerned, Dustin, about what Miami's going to be able to do on offense. These are 2 good defense. I'm not really sure about a lot in this game, Dustin, except for give me the under. What?
Yeah.
I like the under. Yeah, I like the under in this game. I think this is a boring football game that feels like it's not, because the atmosphere will be electric. I think Texas A&M is going to try to will this, or the fans are going to try to will this win into existence. I got to go with the more sure thing I've seen so far, and that is Miami being able to win the game on the road. However, I would not be shocked one bit. This feels like a Jimbo special. You go out, you lose to App State, then you beat Miami at home. Like, this is just one of those things that Jimbo Fisher teams do. This is a test for Jimbo Fisher as a head coach. Find a way to get the playmakers the ball in space against a Miami defense, by the way, Dustin, that looks a little shaky.
Yeah. So Texas A&M's 5-point favorites here. This game might be as ugly as that 7-3 Iowa win that we got in week 1. I don't know if either team can score 5 points, let alone win by 5. So there's that. Miami has struggled early in games so far this season. Against Bethune, Cookman, and Southern Miss. I know they beat Bethune 70-13, but when you look at that game, it was 7-3 with a minute left to go in the first quarter. It takes them a while to get going. Same with Aggie. They beat Sam Houston 31-0, but it was 7-0 after the first quarter and just 17-0 at half. Not to mention the ugly loss to App State where they couldn't score the ball. Tyler Van Dyke, he's yet to get it going like we all thought that he would based on what we saw last season. And this isn't the environment or the defense for him to do so. On the other side, Max Johnson, you mentioned, he's taking over for Texas A&M like I predicted. It's a little earlier. He's a little ahead schedule. I thought it would be later in the season, but, he's the son of former FSU quarterback Brad Johnson. Jimbo's got experience beating the Hurricanes, so I think that they pull it out. I've got Texas A&M winning this one. I said on Twitter, I was joking. I said not like 6-3 Texas A&M. So I was joking. I think I'll take Texas A&M 14-10, and I mean it. This is going to be ugly football, not a defensive battle. Don't confuse it. So 14-10, ugly. And yeah, you said the under is the play. It is. 44.5 is way too much points. These two teams might not score that in the next two games combined.
Listen, I'm just going to say this. I don't even necessarily think the Miami offense is bad. This is just a bad matchup for them. Yeah. And we don't know about Miami yet. We really don't, And just from what I've seen, even against Southern Miss early, buddy, they had to break out a trick play to score points against Southern Miss at home with a first-year head coach, second-year head coach. But my only concern with Miami is there's a year of film on Tyler Van Dyke. They're running a different offense, different system, out some of those skill players last year they had. I'm just having a hard time seeing a path where Miami's going to score a lot of points this early in the season. Now, maybe later as the year goes on, they figure it out, kind of like they did last year. But Texas A&M, we know they have a hard time scoring points. We've seen it now against Appalachia State, a team they just lost to. Shout out to College Game Day for going to Boone this week, by the way. Yeah. I think they'll beat Troy. Since, we should probably pick it, I think they'll beat Troy, even though I think that's a Troy program that'll get back going in the right direction soon. But, yeah, man, I had a hard time picking this one because I don't know where are the points coming from? Who's got the ability to score points? And this Miami defense isn't all world great, but that Texas A&M offense, I've just seen it kind of poop down its leg here against Appalachia State, a team that gave up 60-plus points the week before to future first-round pick, Drake May. So, yeah, man, when I look at what I'm sure of Miami can score points. Texas A&M, I'm just not so sure about. But it would not shock me at all if A&M ended up winning this game. And I know App State beat them last week. But, you kind of rally the troops, backs against the wall. You're at home. You're going to have 100,000-plus people there. And you can make a quarterback change. Maybe it's just maybe a different person back there is all that's needed. It's not even that Mac Johnson's that great. He's just not Haynes King. Maybe that helps. And they get their center back, which they didn't have last week, and that's going to help the offensive line. Maybe they get the ground game going as well. But I'll take Miami. I don't feel great about it, though.
All right.
Okay, Dustin, any other thoughts you have on week 3? We had a lot of differences this week, partially because the last 2 weeks we've had a lot of similarities, and I just went ahead and picked with what I want to happen a lot this week instead of probably the way I should have done it. Like a professional.
Yeah, absolutely. And this week I'm going to put together, because I think 3 weeks is a good sample size. So after today's action, I'm going to put together our records in the pick'ems. Not just money line, but also I'm going to put some spread numbers out there too, just so the listeners and viewers can know Dustin's going to bring you the bank almost as much as a road game in Texas A&M will.
I'm not going to bring you the bank, but I still have some narratives that are alive. I'm more of a narrative-driven guy. Oregon State's still alive. Texas Tech is still alive. Houston, you're dead, so I'm picking against you, losers.
Oh, I got some narratives too. It's called Jaden Daniels. It's called Talia Tagovailoa. Hendon Hooker for Heisman, which Akron, thoughts and prayers. You got a rough one ahead of you today in Knoxville. So
yeah. Hey, man, I bet in my personal life, my real life, the Kansas over. They could get that today. That's all I'm saying.
They could.
They could get the over today. Illinois, you're going to make me sweat this one out. I can feel it. I felt really good about that Indiana game. Screwed yourself. Bounced back last week, though. Dustin, any final thoughts on week 3? We got you in and out of here under an hour this week, which I feel pretty good about. What I'll say before we leave, when the slate looks like it's, excuse my language, assy, as I like to say, these are the weeks you got to pay real close attention because stuff happens. Happened last week. I don't think we'll get as much chaos this week because, the sport a lot of times kind of corrects itself a little bit week by week. But it wouldn't shock me if some of these, pick'em games go either way, which I think is fun from a chaotic standpoint. And don't be shocked if you look at that Texas UTSA game and it's closer than you want it to be there in like the third quarter or something.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
I'm just excited for another week of college football. I'm about to go to Hardee's, get some biscuits, and sit on
I
the
am
couch.
too. I'm about to go get some Hardee's as well. I can't wait to have my loaded omelet biscuit, which, by the way, you can get a double of now. We should get Hardee's to sponsor this show.
That's what I was just about to say. That's a great commercial right there. Hardee's, if you're listening.
I will eat it on the air. I don't care. Give me some fresh hash browns with a loaded omelet biscuit, big old drink. Let's go. Hey, Dustin, thanks for joining us. And thanks to everyone that joined us and watched along. Make sure when you do, you retweet, you share this on Facebook whenever you do join us on the show here. All of a sudden, we just got to jump in viewers as we wrap this thing up. Maybe we should try to go a little later next week. The only problem with that is I want to get this Hardee's breakfast, man. I can't be out here, waiting and not – I mean, mine stopped serving it at 10:30. I got to get on with getting on, man.
I think it's 12 o'clock on the weekends now. I think that's nationwide. Saturday and Sunday, Hardee's breakfast till 12 o'clock.
Buddy. Well, I'm about to go get some anyway, so I got plenty of time. Okay. Again, thanks for joining us. You come for the college football, but you stay for the Hardee's. That's what you do. You know what? I'm going to work on getting Hardee's to sponsor this show at least. That's my goal. That's my goal of this college football season is to get Hardee's on as a sponsor. Fast food breakfast. See, I'm already piping it up. I'm good. Dustin, any final thoughts, man?
Let's get out of here.
Okay, let's get out of here. We thank you all for joining us. You can find this if you just caught us and you didn't watch the whole show. This will be up on iTunes and Spotify very, very soon. We appreciate all the watch along. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week on Louder Live.